Take a poll right now and it'll show that Americans think Trump is the stupidest politician to ever walk the face of the earth. Take another poll and you'll also find that JD is the most smug politician to walk the face of the earth. Well, now the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops just formally announced that JD Vance is both smug and stupid. And no, that's not hyperbole. The conference put out a statement less than 12 hours after Vance admonished the Pope. I'm going to show Vance's public statement and the American bishop's response, but first, let's just do a little backgrounder on America's least favorite Catholic convert. Now, while it's true that a Catholic priest can baptize anyone, as an institution, the Catholic Church requires people to go through a lengthy process of discernment and education called the Order of Christian Initiation of Adults before they can be baptized and enter fully into the Church. Care to take a guess who did not go through the Order of Christian Initiation for Adults? You guessed it, none other than Just Do It to Advance himself, JD Vance. Vance met with a priest a couple of times and persuaded him that being smarmy counts just as much as going through OCIA. So here's a guy that never went to Catholic schools, never studied theology, and never even spoken to a nun, let alone failed to go through OCIA, telling the Pope the way things should be. So here's Vance pontificating.
When the Pope says that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword, there is more than a 1,000-year tradition of just war theory, okay?
All right, just a little aside here. Just war theory was created by St. Augustine, and nobody knows the specifics of just war theory more than the American Augustinian priest who served as a missionary to Peru before becoming Pope. Vance speaks as if he's actually read St. Augustine cover to cover, when it's doubtful he's even read just war theory. And you'll notice that typical of Vance, he misquotes what Pope Leo said. But please, your smugness, continue to enlighten us.
Now, we can, of course, have disagreements about whether this or that conflict is just, but I think that it's important, in the same way that it's important for the Vice President of the United States to be careful when I talk about matters of public policy, I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology. And I think that one of these issues here is that I think one of the issues here is that if you're going to opine on matters of theology, you've got to be careful, you've got to make sure it's anchored in the truth, and that's one of the things that I try to do, and it's certainly something I would expect from the clergy, whether they're Catholic or Protestant.
Now, it's interesting that Vance parses his words such that he makes it seem like there could actually be a debate about whether Trump's war fits under just war. But the sheer and utter arrogance to be lecturing the Pope on how to conduct himself on the world stage is laughable. Except to Catholic bishops. They are growing really tired of the attacks on the Pope and his role in the world. And so the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops issued this statement. For over 1,000 years, the Catholic Church has taught just war theory, and it is that long tradition the Holy Father carefully references in his comments on war. A constant tenet of that 1,000-year tradition is a nation can only legitimately take up the sword in self-defense once all peace efforts have failed. Catechism of the Catholic Church, number 2308. That is, to be a just war, it must be a defense against another who actively wages war, which is what the Holy Father actually said. He does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war. Yeah, JD, so much for that debate about whether it's just, huh? But you really have to appreciate how they slam his smugness in chief for playing fast and loose with his words. The line, which is what the Holy Father actually said, is such a slap in the face to Vance. But the statement did not end there. It went on to stomp Vance right into the dirt. There is no question about who this next paragraph is addressing. When Pope Leo XIV speaks as Supreme Pastor of the Universal Church, he is not merely offering opinions on theology. He is preaching the gospel and exercising his ministry as the vicar of Christ. The consistent teaching of the Church is insistent that all people of goodwill must pray and work toward lasting peace while avoiding the evils and injustices that accompany all wars. So much for opining, huh, JD? The nuns in Catholic elementary schools used to smack kids with rulers. Fortunately, they don't allow that anymore. But somebody didn't tell the bishops that because they just smacked JD Vance and put him in his place. And for someone who thinks he's always the smartest guy in the room, the Catholic bishops let him know that he's really a dumb shit when it comes to knowing about the Catholic faith, and arrogant as hell if he thinks he can lecture the Pope. So JD sold out Catholicism in order to defend Donald Trump, and he thinks that's the smart move? Only if you're stupid, JD. Only if you're very stupid. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupied Democrats. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. You'll not only help out our channel, you'll be taking concrete action and helping get rid of Trump and the MAGA movement who ushered him in.